The sound of a closing laptop echoes through the empty office at 3 a.m. Sterling Stone Blackwood leans back in his chair, loosening his tie as he stares at the New York skyline through floor-to-ceiling windows. Forbes magazine's most innovative CEO under 35 hasn't smiled in public for 15 years. Not since Sarah. His corner office on the 87th floor of Blackwood Innovations headquarters is a testament to success and loneliness. Every surface gleams with cold perfection like the man himself. Sir? His security head, Jackson Pierce, appears at the door. The Japanese market is opening soon. Should I have them patch the call through to your home office? Stone doesn't turn. No need. I'm not leaving. He hasn't left before sunrise in years. Sleep is just another weakness he's learned to overcome, like emotions, like human connection. Sir, that's the third night this week. That'll be all, Pierce. Alone again, Stone pulls up the quarterly reports. Blackwood Innovation stock has tripled under his leadership, but lately the board's been pushing for more. The company needs fresh perspective, they say. What they mean is, their CEO has become as cold as the AI systems he develops. His phone lights up with another message from HR, urgent review new executive assistant candidates. 5th replacement needed this year. Stone scoffs. They never last. Can't keep up with his demands, can't handle his intensity. The last one quit after 2 weeks, calling him a soulless machine. He took it as a compliment. Opening the HR files, he freezes at the first application. Sage Summers, 25. Her credentials are impressive, double major in business and psychology from Stanford, innovative thesis on humanizing corporate culture. But it's her cover letter that catches his eye. Technology should serve humanity, not replace it. Sometimes the most powerful innovation isn't in our computers, but in our connections. Something about her words cuts through his carefully constructed walls. They remind him of Sarah's last message, "Don't let success become your prison, Stone." His gaze drifts to the small safe behind his desk. Inside, untouched for 15 years, lies Sarah's last gift, a vintage vinyl record of their song. The one they danced to at their wedding, 3 months before the accident. The city lights blur as an unfamiliar feeling creeps in. Doubt. Has he built an empire at the cost of his soul? The board's words echo, fresh perspective. His fingers hover over the keyboard before typing a short message to HR, hire Sage Summers. Immediate start. He convinces himself it's a purely logical decision. Her psychology background could help with the new AI emotion recognition project. It has nothing to do with the warmth in her words, or the growing emptiness in his own world. Tomorrow, for the first time in 15 years, someone new will enter his carefully controlled universe. Someone who believes in human connection. Someone who might remember how to smile. Stone turns back to his laptop, ignoring the reflection of a lonely man in the window. Changes for the weak. And Sterling Stone Blackwood isn't weak. He's just forgotten how to be strong in any way that matters. Sage Summers stands in the elevator, smoothing her navy blazer as she ascends to the 87th floor. Her resume said she specializes in humanizing corporate environments, but nothing could have prepared her for the stories about Sterling Blackwood. The man with the silicon heart, the CEO who never sleeps, New York's most eligible and unapproachable bachelor. Yet something in his company's latest AI project caught her attention, an attempt to teach machines to recognize human emotions. Ironic, coming from a man who seems to have forgotten his own. The elevator doors open to a floor that feels more like a museum than an office. Everything is chrome, glass, and stark white. No family photos, no personal touches, not even a stray coffee mug. Her heels click against the marble floor as she approaches her desk, a modernist masterpiece of ergonomic design that somehow manages to look uncomfortable. "You're 3 minutes early." Stone's voice cuts through the silence. He stands in his office doorway, impeccable in a charcoal suit that probably costs more than her yearly rent. "I expect nothing less tomorrow." Sage meets his gaze steadily. "Good morning, Mr. Blackwood. I believe being early shows respect for other people's time." Something flickers in his eyes, surprise perhaps at not seeing the usual intimidation. "Your predecessor lasted 16 days. Care to wager on your own duration?" "I don't gamble, Mr. Blackwood. But I do invest. In people, in potential, in possibilities." He studies her for a moment and she sees what the magazines miss. Behind the cold exterior, there's something else, not emptiness but carefully contained pain. Like a computer running too many firewalls, protecting itself from viruses that no longer exist. "Your first task," he says, turning away. The board wants a complete review of our AI emotion recognition project. They think it's... He pauses, lacking authenticity. They think it takes one to know one, Sage says quietly. How can a company teach machines to recognize emotions when its own culture has forgotten them? Stone stops. For a moment, the mask slips, revealing a flash of something almost human. Then it's gone. You're here to assist, Miss Summers, not philosophize. The report dash. Will be on your desk in 2 hours, she finishes. Along with my suggestions for improving the project. After all, the best way to understand emotions is to experience them. He turns back, a sharp retort ready, but she's already at her desk, laptop open, fingers flying across the keyboard. A strand of dark hair falls across her face as she works, reminding him of someone else who used to challenge him, used to see through his defenses. Stone retreats to his office, unsettled. On his desk, the morning's headlines blare. Blackwood Innovation Stocks Plateau. Has the tech giant lost its human touch? Outside, Sage begins rearranging her desk, adding a small potted succulent. Even artificial intelligence needs natural life to learn from, she murmurs, just loud enough for him to hear. Inside his office, Stone opens his laptop, trying to focus on market reports. But his eyes keep drifting to the security feed of the outer office, where his new assistant is transforming sterile space into something alive. Something real. For the first time in 15 years, a crack appears in the perfect silence of his world. And through that crack, like a forgotten melody, creeps the dangerous sound of change. 3 weeks pass and Sage hasn't quit. If anything, she's done the unthinkable. She started making small changes. The office temperature has risen 2 degrees. Classical music plays softly in the reception area. The break room now has fresh coffee instead of automated machines. Small things, but they make the floor feel less like a mausoleum and more like a place where humans work. Stone notices everything but says nothing. He's too busy dealing with the board's increasing pressure about the AI emotion recognition project. The prototype is failing basic empathy tests, missing subtle cues that any child could recognize. The project needs something, he mutters, staring at the latest failed results. It needs heart, Sage says from the doorway, holding his afternoon coffee black, no sugar, like his worldview. We're trying to teach machines to recognize emotions using only data. But emotions aren't just data points, Mr. Blackwood. They're experiences. Experiences are unpredictable, messy, inefficient. He takes the coffee, careful not to let their fingers touch. Like life. Sage moves to leave, then pauses. When was the last time you experienced something unpredictable? The question hits him like a physical blow. His mind flashes to Sarah, to their last morning together. She'd surprised him with breakfast in bed, something she'd never done before. He'd complained about the crumbs in the sheets, about being late for work. If he'd known it was their last morning. The quarterly board meeting is in 3 days, he says instead of answering. I need the complete project overview dash. Already done. Sage places a tablet on his desk. But I took a different approach. Instead of just analyzing facial expressions and voice patterns, I included context. Personal history. Environmental factors. The things that make us human. Stone scrolls through her report, his expression unchanging. But his hands betray him, tightening slightly on the tablet's edges. This is unconventional. Sometimes unconventional is exactly what we need. She turns to leave, then stops. There's a coffee shop around the corner. Family owned, been there 30 years. They make coffee the old way, by hand with care. Maybe the AI project could use some field research. Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m.? The invitation hangs in the air between them. Stone stares at his computer screen, his fingers hovering over the keyboard. In 15 years he's never had coffee with an employee. Never broken his carefully structured routine. I have meetings, he says automatically. No, you don't. Sage's voice is gentle but firm. I manage your calendar, remember? Sometimes the best business decisions happen outside the office. Sometimes they happen over coffee. After she leaves, Stone sits in his darkening office, her words echoing in his mind. On his desk, Sarah's vinyl record seems to mock him from inside its safe. She'd loved small coffee shops too. Said they had more soul than fancy restaurants. His phone buzzes, another message from the board. AI project review tomorrow. Concerns about emotional authenticity persist. Stone looks out at the city lights, then at his reflection in the window. For a moment, he sees himself as others must see him, successful, powerful, and utterly alone. At exactly 7:59 the next morning, he stands outside the Morning Roast Cafe, adjusting his tie. Through the window, he sees Sage already waiting, 2 empty cups on the table. She's wearing a yellow scarf, the first bright color he's seen in his world for 15 years. His hand hesitates on the door handle. One coffee. One conversation. One crack in his perfect routine. Sometimes the biggest innovations start with the smallest changes. If you're enjoying this video and want more content like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. That way you won't miss out on any of the amazing stories/videos we have coming up. Your support really helps the channel grow and keeps us bringing you more of what you love. Thank you. Inside the morning roast, time moves differently. The corporate world feels distant among the mismatched vintage chairs and the smell of freshly ground coffee. Stone sits rigidly in his chair, looking as out of place as a smartphone in a history museum. They roast their own beans here, Sage says, pushing a cup toward him. No automation, just experience and intuition. Like emotions. Stone takes a careful sip and something shifts in his expression. This is different. Different can be good. Sage wraps her hands around her own cup. Like your AI project. Everyone's trying to teach machines to recognize happiness, sadness, anger. But what about the spaces in between? The quiet moments that shape us. Machines deal in absolutes, Stone replies, but his voice lacks its usual certainty. Do they? Or is that just what we've taught them? Sage leans forward. Your company's mission statement talks about bridging the gap between human and artificial intelligence. But you can't bridge a gap by standing on only one side. A memory surfaces, unbidden, unwanted. Sarah telling him the same thing in different words. Technology without humanity is just expensive noise, Stone. The board meeting is in 2 days, he says, retreating to familiar territory. They want results, not philosophy. Then let's give them both. Sage pulls out her tablet. I've been studying the failed tests. The AI isn't failing to recognize emotions, it's failing to recognize context. Just like. She stops, meeting his eyes. Just like what, Miss Summers? Just like some people use work to avoid feeling anything at all. The words hang between them like visible breath on a cold morning. Stone's hand tightens around his cup, but he doesn't leave. 15 years ago he would have walked out. 15 years ago he was a different man. The cafe owner, Sage continues softly, lost his wife too. 10 years ago. See him behind the counter? He still wears his ring. But he also still makes coffee, still creates something beautiful each day. Still connects. Stone looks at the owner, a man in his 50s, laughing with customers, his wedding ring catching the morning light. Something tightens in his chest. How did you know about Sarah? His voice is barely audible. I do my research, Mr. Blackwood. It's my job to anticipate needs, even the ones you don't want to acknowledge. She touches his hand briefly, the first human contact he's had in years. The board doesn't just want the AI to recognize emotions. They want it to understand them. Maybe we all need to remember how to do that. The morning crowd bustles around them, lives intersecting like lines of code. Stone stares at his coffee, seeing his reflection in the dark liquid. A man hiding behind walls of his own creation. The next test sequence, he says finally. Could we program it to recognize grief? We could. Sage's voice is gentle. Or we could teach it to recognize healing. Sometimes they look the same from the outside. As they walk back to the office, Stone notices things he hasn't seen in years. The way sunlight plays on glass buildings. The sound of laughter from a nearby park. The rhythm of the city, not cold and mechanical, but alive, pulsing, full of stories like his own. In his office, he opens his laptop to find an email from the board. But for the first time in 15 years, work doesn't feel like an escape. It feels like what it is, just one part of a much larger program called life. The board meeting arrives like a storm cloud on a sunny day. Stone stands before the executives, presenting the latest AI emotion recognition results. But something's different. Instead of his usual rapid-fire delivery of data and metrics, he's talking about context, about human experience, about the subtle language of unspoken feelings. Our previous approach was incomplete, he admits, the words feeling foreign on his tongue. We were teaching machines to recognize masks, not emotions. The difference is crucial. In the back of the room, Sage watches, her expression carefully neutral. But her eyes betray her pride when Stone pulls up her innovative testing protocols on the screen. Imagine teaching a child about love by showing them only heart emojis, Stone continues. That's what we've been doing. Miss Summers helped me see that emotions aren't just facial expressions. They're stories, history, context. Board member Victoria Chase leans forward. And this new approach has improved the recognition rates? By 43%. Stone brings up the comparison charts. We're not just seeing better accuracy, we're seeing deeper understanding. The AI now recognizes emotional transitions, contextual shifts, the difference between social smiles and genuine joy. After the meeting, Stone finds himself doing something unprecedented, walking through the office floor instead of taking his private elevator. Employees quickly hide their surprise, ducking behind computers and folders. But he notices things now: family photos on desks, small plants in corners, quiet conversations over coffee cups. "They're scared of you, you know," Sage says, falling into step beside him. "The most brilliant minds in tech, and they tremble when you walk by." "Fear breeds efficiency," he responds automatically, then pauses. "At least that's what I used to think." And now? Before he can answer, alarms blare through the building. Red warning lights flash across screens. Stone rushes to his office, Sage close behind. "Sir." Jackson Pierce bursts in. "We've detected a massive breach attempt in the AI project servers. Someone's trying to steal the new emotion recognition protocols." Stone's hands fly across his keyboard, face illuminated by scrolling code. "They're targeting the core algorithm. Everything we've built, everything we've discovered about emotional pattern recognition. Everything human," Sage whispers. For a moment, Stone freezes. In the reflection of his screen, he sees Sarah's face the day she told him his work would change the world. "Just remember what we're changing it for," she'd said. "Pierce," he snaps, "initiate protocol echo. Full server lockdown." "Sir, that will freeze all operations. The Tokyo markets dash. We'll have to wait." Stone's voice is firm. "We're not losing this project. Not when we're finally getting it right." As emergency procedures kick in and the office descends into controlled chaos, Stone finds himself looking not at the financial implications on his screen, but at his team. At the human beings whose lives and work he's protecting. "Miss Summers," he says quietly, "call the morning roast. Order coffee for everyone on the floor. It's going to be a long night." Sage stares at him, surprise melting into understanding. "Even the interns?" "Especially the interns." He almost smiles. "And, get something for yourself too. I need you here." The words hang in the air between them, heavy with meaning neither is ready to acknowledge. Outside his office, the team mobilizes, engineers and developers coming together like a digital immune system fighting off an invader. For the first time in 15 years, Stone isn't facing a crisis alone in his tower. He's in the trenches with his people, protecting something more valuable than market shares, the human heart of his life's work. And beside him, Sage begins making calls, her yellow scarf a bright flag of hope in the electronic storm. The night stretches on, coffee cups multiply, and Stone surprises everyone, including himself, by rolling up his sleeves and working alongside his team. The office transforms into a war room with engineers and developers huddled around screens, fighting off the cyber attack. "Another breach attempt on the Eastern Firewall," calls out Ryan, a young developer who'd never spoken directly to Stone before tonight. "They're adapting to our defenses. Just like the emotion recognition patterns," Sage says, bringing fresh coffee. "They're learning from context." Stone looks up from his screen, a revelation hitting him. "That's it. They're not just attacking the system, they're using our own AI against us. The attack pattern, it's mimicking human behavior. Fighting fire with fire?" Sage leans over his shoulder, her perfume momentarily distracting him. "Then maybe we need to be more human than the machines." Stone's fingers pause over the keyboard. For 15 years he's approached every problem with pure logic. But tonight, watching his team work together, seeing their determination, their creativity, their human connections, maybe logic isn't enough. "Everyone," he calls out, his voice carrying across the floor, "stop following standard protocols. I want you to be unpredictable. Creative. Do what a machine wouldn't expect. Show me why humans are still better than AI." The team exchanges glances, then grins break out across tired faces. Developers pair up in unexpected combinations, security experts start thinking like hackers, and the defense strategy transforms into something organic, intuitive, alive. In the midst of chaos, Stone finds himself working directly with Sage, their minds synchronizing as they coordinate the team's efforts. She anticipates his needs before he voices them, challenges his assumptions when needed, and somehow makes him feel more capable rather than less. "You're good at this," he admits during a brief lull. "Leading without dominating. Connecting without." He trails off. without losing yourself? Sage finishes softly. That's the secret, Mr. Blackwood. Real strength isn't about building walls. It's about knowing you can survive without them. Their eyes meet across the blue glow of computer screens. For a moment, Stone sees himself reflected in her gaze, not as the cold CO, but as a man learning to thaw. A cheer erupts from the development team. We did it. The attacks are repelled. The tension breaks, replaced by exhausted celebration. Stone watches his team congratulate each other, sees the bonds formed in crisis, the human connections that no AI could replicate. Mr. Blackwood? Jackson Pierce approaches with a tablet. Sir, the press is asking for a statement about the attack. They're speculating about system vulnerabilities, questioning our security. Tell them, Stone says, his voice carrying across the now quiet room, that Blackwood Innovation's greatest security asset isn't our technology. It's our people. The team stares at him in shocked silence. Sage hides a smile behind her coffee cup. Also, Stone continues, straightening his rolled-up sleeves, inform HR that everyone here tonight gets tomorrow off. With pay. He pauses, then adds something that hasn't passed his lips in 15 years. Thank you. All of you. As the team processes this unprecedented display of humanity from their CEO, Stone retreats to his office. Through the glass walls, he watches them gathering their things, sharing tired smiles, making plans for well-earned rest. Sage appears in his doorway. That was very human of you. Don't spread it around. I have a reputation to maintain. Too late. She sets a final coffee on his desk. The team saw the real you tonight. And I don't think they're the only ones. She leaves him with that thought, her yellow scarf bright against the pre-dawn darkness. Stone touches the coffee cup, still warm, like the unfamiliar feeling growing in his chest. If you're enjoying this video and want more content like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. That way you won't miss out on any of the amazing stories/videos we have coming up. Your support really helps the channel grow and keeps us bringing you more of what you love. Thank you. Days after the cyber attack, Blackwood Innovation feels different. The office hums with a new energy. Employees no longer dive behind monitors when Stone walks by. Some even dare to smile and nod. The AI project team works with renewed purpose, inspired by their CEO's unexpected display of humanity. Stone notices everything but struggles to process these changes. Walking through the office one morning, he overhears snippets of conversation. Did you see him actually smile yesterday? Never thought I'd see Stone in the break room. Maybe he's not really made of stone after all. In his office he finds an unexpected addition to his desk, a small, elegant bonsai tree. It's a Japanese maple, Sage says from the doorway. They're resilient but need careful attention to thrive. Like relationships. Like trust. I don't do plants, Stone responds, but he doesn't ask her to remove it. The tech blogs are calling it the human firewall, she continues, placing his morning coffee beside the bonsai. How Blackwood Innovation's team proved stronger than any security protocol. The board is thrilled our stock is up 12%. Because we prevented a data breach. Because you chose to protect people over profits. Because you trusted your team. Sage meets his eyes. Because you let yourself be human. Before he can respond, Jackson Pierce appears with urgent news. Sir, we've identified the source of the cyber attack. It was quantum dynamics. Stone's expression hardens. Our main competitor in emotion recognition AI. They're holding their annual tech showcase next week, Sage adds. Announcing their own emotion recognition system. Which would have been suspiciously similar to ours. Stone's hands clench. Schedule a meeting with legal. We'll bury them in lawsuits. Or, Sage says carefully, we could try something they'd never expect. Something human. Stone turns to her, skeptical but listening. Quantum dynamics tried to steal our work because they can't replicate our results. They don't understand that emotion recognition isn't just about algorithms, it's about understanding human nature. She takes a breath. Invite them to collaborate. Collaborate? With a company that just tried to hack us. Show them why our approach works. Share some of our insights. Create an industry standard for ethical emotion recognition AI. Be remembered not just as the company that built the technology, but the one that taught machines and people how to understand human emotions. Stone stares out his window, remembering Sarah's words. The biggest innovations don't change what people do, they change how people feel. The board would never approve, he says, but his tone lacks conviction. The same board that's celebrating our human-centric success? Sage moves to stand beside him. Sometimes the best way to beat a competitor is to turn them into a partner. Sometimes the best way to protect something is to share it. Stone looks at her reflection in the window, standing close enough that he can smell her subtle perfume. Something shifts in his chest, an emotion his own AI would struggle to classify. "Mr. Blackwood?" she prompts softly. "Stone," he says suddenly. "When we're not in meetings, you can call me Stone." Sage's reflection smiles, warm and genuine. "Only if you call me Sage." He nods, then turns to his desk, pulling up his calendar. "Set up a meeting with quantum dynamics. But first." He glances at the bonsai. "Tell me more about what this plant needs to survive." As Sage explains the art of bonsai care, Stone realizes he's actually listening, not just to the words but to the meaning behind them. Like the tree, he's beginning to bend without breaking, to grow in new directions while staying rooted in who he is. Outside his office, New York pulses with its usual rhythm, but inside, something fundamental has shifted. Stone Blackwood, the man who built walls around his heart, is learning that some walls are meant to come down brick by brick, day by day, human moment by human moment. The meeting with quantum dynamics is set for Friday, but Stone's mind is elsewhere. For the first time in 15 years, he's opened the safe containing Sarah's vinyl record. It sits on his desk like a time capsule, untouched but impossible to ignore. "The morning roast has a vintage record player," Sage says, appearing with his afternoon coffee. She doesn't mention the album, but her eyes linger on it. "The owner collects them. Says music sounds more human with all the imperfections." Stone traces the album's worn edges. "Sarah used to say that too. Tell me about her?" Sage's question is gentle, undemanding. For a moment the office falls away. She was unexpected. A classical musician who loved technology. Said coding was just another way of making music. He pauses, memories surfacing like bubbles in still water. She taught piano to kids in the afternoons. Used to come to investor meetings with ink stains on her fingers from grading sheet music. She sounds wonderful. She was. And I was too busy building this company to notice until... He stops, his throat tight. "The morning she died, she asked me to take a day off. Just one day to go to her students' recital. I said I had meetings that couldn't wait." Sage sits in the chair across from his desk, her presence steady and grounding. "The meetings that seem like they can't wait, they always can. We just forget to ask ourselves what we're waiting for." Before Stone can respond, his phone buzzes. The Quantum Dynamics CEO wants to move the meeting up to tomorrow. Stone stares at the message, then at the record on his desk. "Clear my schedule for this afternoon," he says suddenly. "The Tokyo conference call dash. Can wait." He stands, picking up the record with careful hands. "There's something I need to do first." An hour later, they sit in the morning roast, the record player crackling to life in the corner. The cafe owner, understanding something important is happening, gives them space in a quiet corner. The first notes of Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata fill the air. Stone closes his eyes, and for the first time in 15 years, he lets himself remember. Sarah at their wedding, explaining to his puzzled parents why she chose classical music for their first dance. Sarah in their kitchen, conducting an invisible orchestra with a wooden spoon. Sarah at her piano, showing him how music and mathematics were really the same language. When he opens his eyes, they're wet. Sage silently offers him a napkin. "I haven't listened to this since." He takes a shaky breath. "I thought if I locked everything away it would hurt less. But it just made me forget how to feel anything at all." "Sometimes healing doesn't mean moving on," Sage says softly. "Sometimes it means making space for both the pain and the joy, the past and the present." Stone looks at her, really looks at her, for the first time. She's not Sarah, will never be Sarah. But maybe that's not what he needs. Maybe what he needs is someone who can help him remember how to be human without forgetting why he stopped. "The Quantum Dynamics meeting tomorrow," he says, his voice steadier. "We're not just going to offer collaboration. We're going to show them why understanding human emotions matters. Starting with this." He gestures to the record player. "Our AI needs to recognize not just what people feel but why they feel it. The context, the history, the music behind the mathematics." Sage's eyes light up with understanding. "Bring humanity to the technology, not the other way around." "Exactly." Stone takes a sip of his coffee, letting its warmth ground him in the present. Sarah would have liked that. As they work through the presentation details, the record plays on. And in the space between notes, in the careful distance they maintain across the table, something new takes root, not a replacement for what was lost, but a different kind of music altogether. The quantum dynamics meeting begins like a high-stakes poker game. Their CEO, Maxwell Reed, sits across the conference table, flanked by lawyers and tech executives. His smile doesn't reach his eyes. "I must admit, Stone, this meeting surprised me," Reed says, leaning back. "We expected lawsuits, not lunch invitations." Stone stands at the head of the table, different from his usual self. His posture is relaxed, almost confident in a new way. Sage notices he's wearing a blue tie today, the first time she's seen him in anything but black or gray. "The old me would have buried you in litigation," Stone acknowledges. "But recently I've learned that the best innovations don't come from fighting. They come from understanding." He nods to Sage, who starts the presentation. But instead of charts and graphs, the screen fills with faces, human faces, experiencing real emotions in real moments. A child's first steps. A graduation. A wedding. A loss. "Gentlemen," Stone continues, "we've been approaching emotion recognition wrong. All of us. We've been treating feelings like data points when they're really stories. Every smile, every tear, every moment of human connection has context. Has history." Reed shifts uncomfortably. "This is very philosophical, Stone. We came to discuss technology." "No." Stone's voice is firm. "You came because your attempts to replicate our results failed. Because you can't understand why our AI recognizes emotions more accurately than any other system. Today I'm going to show you why." He pulls out Sarah's vinyl record, placing it carefully on the conference table. 15 years ago I lost my wife. I responded by removing emotion from my life, my work, my company. I thought it made me stronger. I was wrong." The room is silent. Even Reed looks taken aback by this unexpected vulnerability from the infamous Stone Blackwood. "Our breakthrough came when we stopped trying to teach machines to recognize emotions from the outside. Instead, we taught them to understand the human experience from the inside. Every laugh, every tear, every moment of connection or loss, they're all part of the same symphony." Sage starts the next part of the presentation, their new collaboration proposal. A joint venture to create ethical standards for emotion recognition AI. To build technology that serves humanity rather than simplifying it. "Your team tried to steal our code," Stone says, looking directly at Reed. "But you can't steal understanding. You can't hack empathy. What you can do is help us build something revolutionary. Something that honors the complexity of human emotion instead of reducing it to algorithms." Reed leans forward, his facade cracking. "You're offering partnership instead of prosecution? I'm offering something better." Stone glances at Sage, drawing strength from her subtle nod. "I'm offering understanding. Both technological and human." After the meeting, after the handshakes and preliminary agreements, Stone stands at his office window. The bonsai tree casts delicate shadows in the late afternoon light. "They agreed," Sage says, joining him. "Reed's team is already talking about potential applications beyond just emotion recognition. Healthcare, education, grief counseling." "Sarah would have loved that last one," Stone says softly. "She always said technology should heal, not just innovate." She was right. Sage moves to leave, then pauses. "The symphony you mentioned in the meeting, would you like to hear one? The city orchestra is playing Beethoven this weekend." The invitation hangs in the air, blurring the lines they've carefully maintained. Stone looks at her, seeing not just his assistant, not a replacement for Sarah, but someone who's helped him remember how to be human. "I'd like that," he says simply. As Sage leaves, Stone touches the bonsai's leaves, thinking about growth, about change, about how some walls don't need to be torn down, they just need windows. If you're enjoying this video and want more content like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. That way you won't miss out on any of the amazing stories/videos we have coming up. Your support really helps the channel grow and keeps us bringing you more of what you love. Thank you. Saturday evening arrives with unexpected nervousness. Stone stands in his penthouse closet, realizing every suit he owns is designed for boardrooms, not concert halls. Finally, he finds it, a charcoal suit Sarah bought him for their anniversary, unworn for 15 years. It still fits, though differently now, like memories wearing new shapes. The symphony hall glows warmly against the twilight sky. Sage waits at the entrance, wearing a vintage-inspired dress in deep burgundy, her usual yellow scarf draped elegantly around her shoulders. For a moment, Stone forgets how to breathe. "You look..." He starts, then catches himself. "Different outside the office?" she offers with a gentle smile. "You too. The suit suits you." Inside, the hall buzzes with pre-performance energy. Their seats are perfect, close enough to see the musicians' expressions, but far enough to take in the full orchestra. Stone notices Sage checking her phone. "Work can wait," he says, surprising himself. "Actually," she shows him the screen, "I was looking up tonight's program." The conductor added a piece, Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 2. Sarah's favorite, wasn't it? Stone stares at her, touched and unsettled by her attention to detail. "How did you? The vinyl collection in your office safe. I noticed the Rachmaninoff albums were the most worn." She hesitates. "Is this okay? We can leave." "No," he says softly. "No, it's perfect." Sarah would have loved this coincidence. She believed there was no such thing as random timing in music. Or in life. The lights dim and the first notes fill the hall. Stone closes his eyes, letting the music wash over him. He feels Sage's presence beside him, respectful of his space yet somehow anchoring him to the present. During intermission they walk to the terrace. The city sparkles below, a symphony of lights and life. "The AI project has a new testing phase next week," Sage says, giving him space to process his emotions. The team's excited about incorporating musical response patterns. "Always working, Miss Summers?" Stone's voice holds gentle amusement. Says the man who built an empire on never stopping. She turns to face him. "But you're right. Tonight isn't about work. What is it about?" The question hangs between them, heavy with unspoken possibilities. Sage looks at him thoughtfully. "It's about music," she says finally. "About remembering that even the most precise mathematical patterns can create something beautifully, messily human." Stone watches a couple dancing to the faint music drifting from inside. Sarah used to say that mathematics was just music without sound, and music was mathematics without rules. She sounds like she understood both logic and emotion. Like someone else I'm getting to know. Their eyes meet, and Stone realizes with sudden clarity that he's standing at a crossroads. One path leads back to his safe, controlled world. The other. The orchestra begins tuning for the second half, saving him from a response he's not quite ready to give. As they return to their seats, his hand brushes hers accidentally, but neither pulls away immediately. During Rachmaninoff's concerto, Stone feels tears on his cheeks for the second time in 15 years. But these tears are different from those in the coffee shop. They're not just about loss anymore. They're about possibility. After the performance, they walk in comfortable silence to where their cars wait. The night air is cool, carrying the first hints of autumn. "Thank you," Stone says simply, "for understanding about Sarah. About music. About." He gestures vaguely, encompassing everything he can't quite name. "Thank you for letting yourself remember," Sage responds. "And for letting yourself feel something new." She steps toward her car, then turns back. "The AI team is testing emotional responses to jazz next week. I hear the morning roast has live jazz on Thursdays." Stone looks at her, his assistant, his guide back to humanity, his friend? Something else? The lines are blurring, but for the first time in 15 years, uncertainty doesn't feel like weakness. "Thursday," he says. "I'll bring the data analysis." "No," Sage smiles. "You'll bring yourself." That's all anyone can ask for. As their cars head in opposite directions, Stone realizes he's humming Rachmaninoff, but with a new rhythm, a different cadence. Like an old song finding a new harmony. Monday morning brings unexpected challenges. Headlines flash across Stone's screen. Breaking. Quantum Dynamics announces merger with Silicon Dynamics. His biggest competitor joining forces with the world's largest tech company, just days after their collaboration agreement. "They're trying to force our hand," Sage says, entering with his morning coffee. Neither mentions the symphony, but something has shifted in their dynamic. A new awareness, like a melody playing just below audible range. "They want to rush us into full partnership before we're ready," Stone agrees, his voice tense but not cold. The old Stone would have reacted with immediate aggression. This Stone pauses, considering. "What do you think?" Sage sets his coffee down next to the thriving bonsai. "I think they're scared. Silicon Dynamics is all about fast scaling, rapid deployment. They don't understand what we're trying to build here. A human-first approach to AI," Stone murmurs, almost to himself. Then louder, "Get me the team. All of them." In the main conference room in 20 minutes. The conference room fills quickly, but it's different now. Employees don't shrink from Stone's presence. They engage, offer ideas, speak freely. Someone even dares to bring donuts. Silicon Dynamics will want to standardize everything, Ryan, the young developer, points out. Turn emotion recognition into another mass-market product. Stone stands at the window watching the city below. Sarah used to say that standardizing emotions was like trying to standardize sunsets. You can describe the colors, measure the light waves, but you'll miss the moment that makes each one unique. The room falls silent, surprised by this personal reference from their usually private CEO. Sir, Jackson Pierce speaks up, the board will expect us to compete. To go bigger, faster. No. Stone turns, his decision made. We're going smaller. More precise. More human. He looks at Sage, drawing strength from her subtle nod. What makes our AI special isn't its speed or scale. It's its ability to understand context, nuance, the spaces between obvious emotions. We're not going to compete with Silicon Dynamics. We're going to make them irrelevant. The team leans in as Stone outlines his vision. Instead of mass-market applications, they'll focus on specialized fields: therapy, education, healthcare. Areas where understanding human emotion isn't just a feature, but the core purpose. After the meeting, Stone finds Sage still in the conference room reviewing notes. The board won't like this, she says without looking up. Niche markets mean slower growth. The board doesn't understand what we're building. Stone sits across from her. Just like they don't understand why I've changed. Now she does look up, meeting his eyes. And why have you changed? The question hangs between them, personal and professional boundaries blurring like watercolors. Before Stone can answer, his phone buzzes, a message from Maxwell Reed. Silicon Dynamics is offering to buy controlling interest in both companies, Stone reads aloud. They want to streamline the collaboration process. They want to turn emotions into algorithms, Sage says, anger coloring her voice. Everything we've worked for, everything we've understood about human connection. Everything you've helped me remember, Stone adds quietly. Their eyes meet again, and this time the silence is heavy with unspoken words. Stone realizes he's standing at another crossroads, not just professionally but personally. The safe path would be to take the offer, to retreat behind corporate decisions and professional distance. But he's not that man anymore. The jazz night at the morning roast, he says suddenly. Tomorrow instead of Thursday? Sage blinks, surprised by the sudden shift. The Silicon Dynamics situation. We'll still be there on Friday. Stone straightens his tie, blue again. He's worn nothing but blue since the symphony. Some things are more important than business decisions. As he walks back to his office, Stone feels lighter despite the looming corporate battle. The old Stone would have seen only the threat. This Stone sees possibility in business, in life, in the careful dance between professional partnership and personal connection. On his desk, Sarah's vinyl record catches the morning light. Next to it, the bonsai tree's new leaves reach toward the sun, growing in their own careful, measured way. Just like some other things in his life. The morning roast transforms at night. Dim lights, soft jazz, and the gentle clink of coffee cups create an atmosphere worlds away from corporate tensions. Stone arrives to find Sage already there, wearing a simple black dress that makes his heart skip in a way he's not quite ready to acknowledge. No laptop? She teases as he sits down. No shop talk, he agrees. Though the board might be having collective heart attacks right now. Because you're out at night, or because you turned down Silicon Dynamics' first offer? Both. He smiles, a real smile, the kind that would confuse his old self. They've never seen me choose living over working. The jazz quartet starts playing Autumn Leaves, and something shifts in the air between them. Stone recognizes the look in Sage's eyes. She knows this was Sarah's favorite jazz standard. Dance with me? The words surprise them both. Sage hesitates. Stone. Not as my assistant. Not as my conscience. Just, dance with me. They move to the small dance floor, keeping a respectable distance that somehow feels more intimate than if they were closer. Stone leads with unexpected grace, another gift from Sarah, who insisted CEOs should know how to dance. The board meeting tomorrow, Sage says softly. They're going to push for the Silicon Dynamics deal. I thought we said no shop talk, Stone murmurs, but his hand tightens slightly on hers. This isn't about work. It's about you. About who you want to be. The music swells and other couples join the dance floor, giving them a moment of private conversation in public space. 15 years ago, Stone says, I chose work over life. Over love. Over everything that made me human. I told myself it was the right decision, that success required sacrifice. And now I understand what Sarah meant about success becoming a prison. I built this company trying to escape pain, but all I did was trap myself in it. The song ends and they return to their table. The cafe owner brings them fresh coffee and a knowing smile. Silicon Dynamics doesn't understand what we're building, Stone continues. They see emotion recognition as a tool for manipulation. We're building it as a bridge to understanding. We. Sage's question carries multiple meanings. Before Stone can answer, his phone buzzes urgently. Jackson Pierce's message flashes. Emergency board meeting called for tonight. Silicon Dynamics doubled their offer. They're voting in 1 hour. Stone stares at the message, then at Sage. The old Stone would have rushed out immediately, prioritizing business over everything else. But he's not that man anymore. They'll vote without me, he says, turning off his phone. Stone. Sage leans forward. This is your company. Everything you've built? No. His voice is firm. This night, this moment, this. He gestures between them. This is what I'm building now. Something real. Something human. The quartet starts another song, The Way You Look Tonight. Their eyes meet across the table, professional boundaries blurring like jazz notes. When Sarah died, Stone says quietly, I thought the safest path was to stop feeling altogether. But you showed me that the safest path isn't always the right one. Sage's hand finds his across the table. And what path do you want to take now? The question hangs between them, weighted with possibility. Stone looks at their joined hands, thinking about crossroads, about choices, about the difference between being alive and truly living. I want dash, he starts, but his phone buzzes again. This time it's Maxwell Reed himself. The message is clear. Final offer. Triple the original. Tonight only. The future of AI emotion recognition hangs in the balance. Stone looks at the message, then at Sage, then at their still joined hands. In his mind, Sarah's voice echoes, some choices aren't about business, Stone. They're about becoming who you're meant to be. The jazz plays on, the night stretches ahead, and Stone Blackwood faces the biggest decision of his life, not about business but about his heart. If you're enjoying this video and want more content like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. That way you won't miss out on any of the amazing stories/videos we have coming up. Your support really helps the channel grow and keeps us bringing you more of what you love. Thank you. Stone stares at Reed's message, then does something that shocks even himself. He laughs. The sound is so unexpected that nearby patrons turn to look. Stone. Sage's voice carries concern. 15 years, he says, still chuckling. 15 years of building walls, of choosing safety, of putting business above everything. And now they think they can buy what we've built with money? He turns off his phone completely, sliding it into his pocket. They don't understand. What we've created isn't just technology, it's understanding, connection, humanity. His eyes meet Sage's. Things I'd forgotten how to value until you reminded me. The quartet transitions into What a Wonderful World, and Stone stands, offering his hand again. This time, when they dance, the professional distance between them feels like a paper wall in the rain. The board will be furious, Sage murmurs. Let them be. I'm done letting fear of loss drive my decisions. His voice softens. Sarah used to say that true innovation comes from the heart, not the head. I didn't understand then. I do now. As they sway to the music, Stone feels the weight of 15 years of grief and guardedness beginning to lift. Not disappearing, Sarah will always be part of him, but transforming into something that gives him strength rather than pain. Tomorrow, he says, I'm calling an all-hands meeting. We're not just going to reject Silicon Dynamics' offer, we're going to change our entire approach. The AI we're developing isn't just about recognizing emotions, it's about understanding the human journey. Loss, healing, growth, connection. Your journey, Sage says softly. Our journey, he corrects, then catches himself. The company's journey, I mean. But they both hear the truth in his slip. The music ends and they return to their table where their coffee has gone cold, just like Stone's old defenses. I should take you home, he says, though everything in him wants to prolong this night. Should you? Sage's question carries layers of meaning. Stone looks at her, really looks at her. Not as his assistant, not as Sarah's memory, but as herself. As the woman who helped him remember how to feel, who showed him that vulnerability isn't weakness, who made him want to be human again. No, he says finally. But I will. Because some things shouldn't be rushed. Because feeling everything doesn't mean we have to feel it all at once. Outside the morning roast, the night air carries the first real chill of autumn. Stone helps Sage with her coat, his hands lingering a moment longer than necessary. Tomorrow will be interesting, she says, her yellow scarf bright against the darkness. Tomorrow will be real, he responds. For the first time in 15 years, I'm not just running a company, I'm building something that matters. Something Sarah would have been proud of. She would be proud of you now, Sage says gently. Not because of the company, but because you're finally letting yourself live again. They stand there, the city noise fading to background music, both aware they're standing on the edge of something new. Something that could change everything. Sage, I dash. She places a finger on his lips, stopping his words. Not tonight. Tonight was perfect as it is. Tomorrow is for new chapters. As their cars arrive, Stone realizes he feels something he hasn't experienced in 15 years. Hope. Not just for his company's future, but for his own. For the possibility of love that doesn't replace what was lost, but builds something new from its foundation. Tomorrow will bring board meetings, corporate battles, and difficult decisions. But tonight, watching Sage's car disappear into the Manhattan night, Stone Blackwood feels truly alive. Morning arrives with a storm of headlines. Blackwood Innovation CEO missing during crucial vote. Silicon Dynamics deal in jeopardy. Has Stone finally cracked? But for the first time in 15 years, Stone doesn't check the news first thing. Instead, he stands in his penthouse, looking at his reflection as he knots a deep blue tie, Sarah's favorite color, now for different reasons. The office buzzes with nervous energy when he arrives. Employees whisper behind screens, board members huddle in corners, and Maxwell Reed himself waits in the lobby with Silicon Dynamics CEO. But Stone's first glance is for Sage's desk empty, with only a note beside his usual coffee. Some battles need to be fought alone. I believe in you. Stone. Reed steps forward, smooth as ever. Last night's offer is declined. Stone cuts him off, but without his old coldness. In fact, I have a counter-proposal. Join me in the main conference room. All of you. The room fills quickly, board members, executives, development team, even junior employees. Stone stands at the front, looking more alive than anyone can remember. 15 years ago, he begins, I made a choice between business and humanity. I chose wrong. I built this company trying to escape pain, trying to turn emotions into equations because feelings hurt too much. And in doing so, I nearly missed the point of everything we're building. He brings up the latest AI test results. Our emotion recognition technology works better than Silicon Dynamics because it doesn't just see feelings, it understands them. It recognizes that grief can look like anger, that joy can contain sadness, that love. He pauses, his eyes finding Sage, who has slipped quietly into the back of the room, that love can come again without betraying what came before. The room is silent, captivated by this new version of their CEO. Silicon Dynamics wants to standardize emotion recognition, to turn it into another mass-market product. But emotions aren't products. They're the essence of human experience. And that's what we're going to honor. He outlines his vision, specialized applications for therapy, education, and healthcare. Partnerships with universities studying emotional intelligence. A foundation in Sarah's name to fund arts education and technology integration. We're not selling, he announces. We're expanding, but not in the way Silicon Dynamics expects. We're going deeper, not broader. More human, not more corporate. Reed stands, face flushed. The board won't approve. They already have, comes a voice from the door. Victoria Chase, head of the board, strides in. We voted this morning. Unanimously. Stone's surprise must show on his face because Victoria smiles. We've watched you change these past months, Stone. We've seen this company become more than just a tech giant. We've seen it become a community. A family. As the room erupts in applause, Stone feels a presence beside him. Sage stands close enough that he can smell her subtle perfume, but far enough to maintain professional appearance. You did it, she says softly. We did it, he corrects. Then, taking a risk that would have terrified his old self, he adds, have dinner with me tonight. Not as my assistant. Not at the morning roast. A real dinner. Her eyes meet his, warm and knowing. Are you sure you're ready? Stone touches the blue tie, Sarah's color, now also the color of new beginnings. I'm not running anymore. From feelings, from connections, from possibilities. Around them the office celebrates. Reed and the Silicon Dynamics team leave, already discussing potential collaboration on their terms. The board mingles with developers, barriers breaking down like old code being rewritten. Yes, Sage says simply. To dinner. To possibilities. To being human. Stone looks around at the company he built, now transforming into something Sarah would have loved. Something he's finally ready to love too. The bonsai on his desk has a new branch growing, small, delicate, but reaching confidently toward the light. That evening, Stone stands in his penthouse one last time. The safe that held Sarah's vinyl record for 15 years is open and empty. The record now sits proudly on a vintage player in his living room, not hidden, not painful, just part of his story. He's chosen a small Italian restaurant in the village, far from the corporate world. Walking in, he sees Sage already there, looking radiant in a simple dress the color of autumn leaves. Her yellow scarf draped over the chair back like a signature. "No business talk?" she asks as he sits. "No business talk," he agrees. "Though I did bring something." He places a small box on the table. Inside is a delicate silver pendant, a musical note intertwined with a binary code symbol. "Sarah's last gift to me," he explains. "She said it represented the harmony between technology and humanity. I kept it locked away because it hurt too much. Now," he slides the box toward Sage, "now I think it represents something else. A bridge between past and future. Between grief and hope." Sage touches the pendant gently. "Stone. You didn't just help me remember how to feel," he says softly. "You helped me understand that feeling isn't weakness. That love isn't a finite resource. That hearts, like code, can be rewritten without erasing their core programming." Outside, snow begins to fall, the first of the season. Stone remembers Sarah's love for snow, but the memory brings warmth now, not pain. "The company's changing," Sage says, slipping the pendant around her neck. "You're changing. We're all changing. The AI project taught me that emotions aren't static. They evolve, adapt, find new patterns. Like life. Like love." Their dinner arrives and they talk about everything and nothing: favorite books, childhood dreams, the way jazz sounds different in snow. Professional titles and boundaries melt away like snowflakes on warm skin. Later, walking through the snowy streets, they stop in Washington Square Park. The arch glows against the night sky, and distant jazz drifts from a club nearby. "Dance with me?" Sage asks. Here, in the falling snow, Stone holds her closer than he did at the morning roast. "Sarah once told me that the best innovation isn't in our computers, but in our capacity to begin again." "Wise woman," Sage murmurs. "Yes, and she would have liked you. Not because you're similar, you're not. But because you both understood something I'm just learning. That love multiplies, it doesn't divide." The snow falls harder, transforming the city into something magical and new. Stone Blackwood, the man once known as Silicon Stone Heart, stands in the swirling white with a woman who helped him remember how to feel. His company is evolving, his heart is healing, and for the first time in 15 years, he's not afraid of what comes next. "Ready to go?" Sage asks softly. Stone looks at her, this brilliant, patient woman who didn't try to replace his past but helped him build a future. "Yes," he says simply. "I'm ready." And in the falling snow, beneath the Washington Square arch, Stone Blackwood and Sage Summers share their first kiss, not as CEO and assistant, but as two people discovering that some innovations don't need algorithms. They just need courage, time, and hearts willing to grow.